Hello there, my name is Ladrium and welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock tutorial with your favorite cardigan wearing Minecraft character. And in this Minecraft Bedrock tutorial, I'll be showing you how to build this very simple to build pumpkin and melon farm for your Minecraft Bedrock 1.19 world. Both pumpkins and melons have a variety of uses, ranging from making snow golems and iron golems to acting as a very good light source when converted into jack-o'-lanterns, and melons can also be converted into glistening melons, which you can use in a variety of different potions, making them both extremely useful things to have on your world. Additionally, these can all be used for trading, which makes getting golden carrots from your farmer villagers much easier. This farm is pretty simple to build and it conveniently fits inside of a one chunk area, meaning you shouldn't have any issues with minecarts being deleted on chunk borders. Additionally, this farm really only needs 4 types of resources: pistons, observers, redstone, a 15 block light source, and dirt, which you will turn into farmland. So there really isn't a lot of resources to go in here, and it's really easy to gather those resources, assuming you have an iron farm of some kind. So as always, before we get into the tutorial, let's just talk a little bit about the mechanics of this farm and how it works. This farm, like I said, is very simple. We just have rows of alternating melons and pumpkins. And if we just bump up the random tick speed here on this instance to say 100, these will grow up pretty quickly. And every single time one of these stems changes states, it will update the block directly above it, which we can detect with an observer. That observer can then be used to trigger a piston next to it, which when pressed down will compress the block, knocking it loose, which then we can pick up using a minecart hopper running beneath this farm. So to get started with this farm, you're going to want to mark out a single chunk area. I am using Foxy No-Tail's Chunk Borders resource pack with these armor stands to delineate where this chunk border is, and I have a sandstone barrier all around this. Again, you'll want to do this just so that your minecarts don't accidentally get deleted on chunk borders when your chunk is unloaded. This is just a very simple way to do this. You can also use a leaves trick, but this is honestly a lot easier to see and visualize, and it shouldn't impact whether you have cheats enabled in your world. So to get started, you're going to want to move in about 8 blocks here and find one of the center 2 rows, knock out the blocks in between it, and place down a power source of some kind. Redstone blocks are really easy, but if you're running low, just create torches. Then we're going to run powered rails up and down these tracks right here, and I recommend, just to make your life easier, that you run these east-west. If you run these east-west, you'll get these nice straight lines as you see here. If you run them in the north-south direction, these will have a tendency to want to connect in the perpendicular direction that you're laying them down in, which makes these really annoying to set down. So if you don't know which way is east or west, just look at the sun. The sun rises in the east, that's in the west, or get yourself a sunflower. It will point in the east-west directions for you. But you're just going to complete these rows all the way up and down through each of the 16 blocks that you have. And then once you have all of these laid down, you're going to place in connecting rails on the outside edges of them. And we're going to create one giant loop that goes all the way around our track. So we're going to go ahead and start here in the upper right hand corner. Then we're just going to keep looping around the track as you see me doing here. And we're going to go down here, loop this to the next rail. So our minecart will cover the entire area of our farm in a single pass. Then it will bounce off a wall and then connect back here at the end. So once you have your track laid out, you should have something that looks just like this. Then you're going to want to come over here to the edges, place yourself down a barrel, then place down a hopper that connects into that, and then place a piece of track on top of that. We're going to want to wall this off for the time being, and if you want to ensure high efficiency, I recommend that you extend this out at least more than one hopper. You just have one, your items may not unload from your cart quickly enough. So with our track now in place, we're going to want to come down here and build up 3 layers of dirt. And I recommend, just to keep your life really simple, to place in a dirt ceiling 4 levels up. That way you can place all of your items down. If you would prefer to place alternating rows so that you can get in your pistons and your observers, you can do that. But placing in a ceiling just makes it really easy to not need to worry about shift clicking or getting correctly on the edge of the block. So we're going to come down here, place a block. This is going to be where our pumpkins and melons are going to be growing. Then we're going to extend up here and just go 1, 2, 3 as shown here. And this is where our pistons are going to sit and our observers. We go 1 more block above this. This is our ceiling, and we can just fill in this entire area up here for the time being. If you have a shovel, this will be really easy to clear out later. So don't worry too much as long as you're just using dirt. Once you have your temporary grass roof in place, we're going to want to place down alternating rows of pistons facing down in this checkerboard pattern as you see here. So no 2 pistons should be directly touching each other. You should just have them connected at the corners, and every single piston should be facing down. You're going to want to make sure that these pistons cover up the entire area above your track, because this is what is going to be harvesting your pumpkins and your melons. So once you have all of your pistons in place, you're going to want to grab your favorite shovel from your toolbox and break this temporary ceiling that we have right here. Make sure you recollect all this dirt because we will reuse it later for the floor of our farm where our pumpkins and melons are going to be growing. Once we have this temporary grass ceiling removed, we're going to want to grab our observers, and then we're going to fill in each of these spaces between our pistons. Go ahead and just make a circle around this farm as many times as necessary, and then this should go in pretty quick. And once you've finished placing in all of these observers, you're going to want to bring out your redstone dust. Should have a nice checker pattern that looks like this. And then we're going to want to place redstone dust on top of each of these observers where the light is at. So redstone dust, and just complete this zigzag pattern right here. And once you have all of your redstone in place, you're going to want to grab yourself a block that conducts redstone that has a light level of 15 and place them in between each of these redstone pieces of dust. Jack-o'-lanterns work very well for this purpose. You can also use shroom lights from the nether, which you can harvest from the warped fungus trees, the red trees that grow in the nether. You don't need to place them on top of every single space, but I do recommend that you only go 1 space in between them. So row, and then place an alternating row of just regular bricks if you are trying to conserve on pumpkins or whatever type of light source you have. You cannot use glowstone for this because while glowstone has a light level of 15, it is treated as glass and it will not conduct redstone on top of these pistons. So again, pumpkins or shroom lights, both will work very well for these purposes. And now with our light source in place, we're going to want to come down here and row by row add ourselves some dirt, and you can use a hoe or you can pre-gather yourself some farmland. It really doesn't matter because your farmland is most likely going to convert into dirt until we get our water box placed in, but we're going to place alternating rows of pumpkins and then melons under each one of these observers. If you do a complete pumpkin farm or a complete melon farm, your farm will of course still work, but I think in testing we found that placing alternating rows of melons, then pumpkins, then melons, then pumpkins again, actually increases the rate of this farm. So try to do things in an alternating pattern. You will probably get more resources out of it. And like all resources that we plant and grow on Minecraft, these farms are going to require water in order to grow. So the easiest way to do this without interfering with the tracks below is to place down some staircases as shown here underneath pistons. Don't place them underneath the observers, and you're going to waterlog them. Now, an important thing to know about waterlogged stairs. Waterlogged stairs should not, under normal circumstances, leak water onto the track below. However, if you misclick while using this farm and getting it set up and place water either on this top row or on the edge, it will cause the water to overflow both above the farm and below the farm. So while you're doing this, just be super duper careful that you don't misclick and accidentally cause water to leak over your entire farm, because then all of your tracks will get swept away and then you'll just have a really bad day resetting your farm and its insides. But you're going to want to place these staircases every few rows or so. It's really important that you have them both on the outside and on the inside. This area is not farmable, so you don't need to place them on every single block, but make sure you have them spread out enough so that your entire farm can be aerated. Now, another thing to remember while using this farm is you're going to want these pumpkins and these melons to be in alternating rows. It's really important that you have them in alternating rows. While you could just have a solid pumpkin or a solid melon farm, a hybrid pumpkin and melon farm actually produces melons and pumpkins faster than just the singular melon and pumpkin farm itself. I'm not exactly sure why this is. Just in testing, I've noticed that I get more melons and pumpkins produced than if I'm just doing a single type. So make sure you have alternating rows of melons and pumpkins. And if you do that, you should have a plentiful harvest. And then the last step for setting up our farm is to place in your minecart so that it will bounce back and forth across your farm and collect your items into the hoppers. Then place yourself a barrier around the farm. This will ensure that all of your items stay contained inside of the farm. It doesn't really matter if the items get pushed through the farmland blocks because the minecart will just pick them up, but we don't want them going outside of the farm because then our minecart can't collect them. So go ahead and build yourself a barrier all the way around your farm, going all the way up to the piston and observer rows. And with that, your farm is now done. The only thing left for you to do is to find an AFK spot nice and safe near your farm and just wait for your produce to roll in. There is nothing else that you need to do on this farm, and this farm should produce produce, both pumpkins and melons, relatively quickly once these vines have grown to their full height. Pumpkins and melons will produce a pumpkin or melon roughly every 10 to 30 minutes in real world time, but this should be producing things a little bit more quickly. You should be able to fill up a couple double chests of these in just around an hour or so. One thing I do recommend for this farm is that you hook up a hopper unloader to your farm. That will make unloading all of your items go much quicker. I have a hopper unloader design that you can find over on my channel. I'll have a link for this down in the description. This is a very simple mechanism. This is all that there is to it. You can go check out the video that explains it in more detail, but this is all there is to it. It will quickly unload all of your items, drop them into a barrel, or if you wanted to connect this to an item dispenser and send it down a water stream to your main storage system, you could also do that as well. And that's all that there is to making this farm. This is a very simple farm, easy to build. I do recommend that you have an iron farm to create the pistons and the observers, but assuming you have that, this build should go by pretty quickly. As always, thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate you watching these videos. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, or if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. But that's going to be it for me. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.